All right. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. All right. So thank you all for joining our 2025 information webinar on the Arts in California Parks Grant Program. Today we have a lot to cover, and we'll cover some key details about the program, the application process, and the support resources that are available for you. If you would like, please, we encourage you to use the chat feature to introduce yourself. You can share your name, your organization, and perhaps the city that you are tuning in from. You can also utilize our Q&A questions, the Q&A box to submit any questions that you may have. And towards the end of the webinar here, we'll take about 30 minutes to answer some FAQs. And we look forward to hearing any questions you may have. And lastly, this is just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded and it will be available to view on our website next week. So we will have that available for you all in the Resource Hub. So I see the chat is fully activated. So with that, let's get started and we can go to the next slide. All right, so this is our agenda for today. Like I mentioned, we have a lot to cover and an hour to do it all in. So we will start with introductions of our team. We will share with you all about Parks California. We will talk about the Arts in California Parks program. We will give an update on the art and state parks, and then we'll do a deep dive into the 2025-2026 grants program. We will introduce to you all the letter of intent process this year, and then go into our resource hub, share with you all the available resources that we have, and then we'll go into our Q&A. So you can go to the next slide, please. All right, so for introductions, I'll start. My name is Sarah Scheidemann. I am the Arts in California Parks Program Manager. I work for Parks California, and I've been with Parks California for about almost a year and a half. I will pass it to Amanda. Oh, Amanda, I think you're muted.
Hello?
Oh, now you're good.
Perfect. Hi all, I'm Amanda. I am Parks California's Grant Programs Coordinator. I've been here around the same time as Sarah, and I help administer all our grant programs. I'll pass it along to Cece.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cece LaGrange. I'm a senior associate and landscape architect with PlaceWorks, and our role is really supporting California state parks through the entire Arts in California Parks program. And I'll pass it to Marian.
Oh.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marian Solis Coronel. I'm Director of Programs with Parks California, and we're super excited to see you here. Thank you for the participation. And I'll come back after this slide with more info. Turn it over to Anne.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ann Bound-Crawford. I'm a senior consultant for the program through PlaceWorks. And I will toss it to Leslie.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leslie Hartzell. I'm the Cultural Resources Division Chief at California State Parks. I have the pleasure of being the overall program manager for this great effort and working in collaboration here. You'll hear more about this from me in just a little bit. Hang in there. And did we already pick up Elizabeth?
Hi, I'm not on this slide, so you can look at my face, hopefully, if I'm in your chat. I'm Elizabeth Kuby. I'm our Associate Communications Manager. I joined Parks California almost a year ago, so I've been with us from the launch of this. So I'm really excited to see this go into year 2. So I'll pass it back to Sarah.
All right. And I am going to pass it to Marian, actually,
Yeah.
to present on Parks California.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Parks California, we're the nonprofit partner to California State Parks. So we've been around for about 6 years, and our organization is really here to strengthen parks, to really ensure that all people get to experience the extraordinary places that we have in California. So we work really closely with California State Parks, and now through this program, supporting local communities with open spaces. If we go to the next slide, it talks a little bit about how we work with state parks, and we're the statutory partner to California State Parks. So that means that we work really closely on really fulfilling that mission. And that works through a joint priority process. Every couple of years, we go through and have conversations at the leadership level, at the district level, and at the field level to really identify projects that are really at the cusp, or are projects where we can really come in and bring value or capacity to ensure that the mission is fulfilled. So that is the shared priority process. And a couple years ago, this project elevated to that level. So we're super excited to be working with the state and then with all of you across communities to really bring art to local parks. We go to the next slide. We also have a couple other grant programs that are rooted really in access and are also in career pathways. So these are a couple of the other programs that we have. So if you are in this space, check out our website and get familiar with these programs. There might be other opportunities where we get a chance to collaborate. So with that, I'll turn it over to the next speaker.
Great. Elizabeth, will you go to the next slide? And Leslie will be sharing about the Arts in California Parks program.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, we wanted to share what this whole program really is about. And our vision is really to create public spaces that nurture, educate, and inspire individuals and communities. We're really excited to transform California's parks into engaging, accessible hubs for everyone. Our hope is to uplift parks as vibrant centers for learning and connection for communities. Next. The mission for this program at its core is about connection, connecting people to each other, to their communities, and to nature and cultural aspects of their important places through the arts. Our mission is to support California Native American tribes, artists, and communities in creating artwork that honors our past, speaks to our present, and sparks imagination for our future in these places. Next. We are doing this through various goals that include welcoming, so that parks are seen as safe places that everyone can participate in and reflect and embrace what's amazing about the diversity of California in their own local areas. It's also about empowering. So we're paving the way for more exciting opportunities for people, including careers in art or other creative endeavors. Through mentorships and job opportunities. So this is part of what we're trying to accomplish as well. It's important also to see parks as places for healing, discovering how art, nature, and cultural connections to these places can boost well-being and bring communities together. Part of this, as I mentioned, was connecting. It's important that we connect people with these unforgettable experiences that blend culture, nature, and community in these spaces. And finally, most importantly, I think, is to inspire that through this effort, letting creativity shine as we celebrate California's rich heritage and honor the cultural significance of our parklands to communities. We really saw this come out in times of COVID when everyone went out to the parks as open space that they could recreate in, get some space and fresh air. We want to continue that momentum with arts. Next. Our program partners for this include the California Arts Council, critical partner with California State Parks, and our partner Parks California that Miriam just introduced you to. Working together, we're bringing art into parks across the state. We're guiding this work with a 15-member, really expert advisory committee of just amazing creative talent in a variety of areas, representing diverse geographic, multicultural, and artistic perspectives. Their expertise is really ensuring that this program is uplifting a range of art forms and strengthening connections between art, parks, and community. It's been fabulous to work with them, and they're going to really continue to influence us to great things. And next. This will turn it back over to PlaceWorks to talk a little bit about the next steps.
Great, thank you so much, Leslie. Capacity building is a really important part of the Arts in California Parks program. And our goal is to really strengthen the entire program foundation and sustainability. And there are a couple of ways we are doing this. One is by growing artist capacity for working with park entities. So it's maybe not something that artists frequently do, and there are some ins and outs that we're hoping to share with artists to make the process go a little bit easier and build artist capacity for doing this kind of work in parks. And then at the same time, also growing state park staff capacity for working with artists, which is a type of participant that isn't always in parks. We really want to increase staff's ability to welcome artists into the parks and work with them, and then also incorporate art into their current practices, whether that's ranger talks or nature walks, just really bringing art into all of the parks and infusing it into the parks and increasing staff capacity to do that. Our priorities for 2025 are really to develop the resources and tools to support park and artist communities to envision and implement impactful projects. And one example tool of this is the Artist Directory. And I'll go ahead and paste the link to the Artist Directory in the chat in a minute here, but it's a place where artists can provide their contact information, a link to their portfolio, and then land managers and park managers can look through that directory when they're looking for an artist. So that's just one example of how we're helping to build capacity for artists and parks to connect. Next slide. Art in state parks has already accomplished quite a few things. As Leslie mentioned, we work with California Arts Council, so we've really engaged with their networks, nonprofit partners, and also community members in general to host projects and events. And in 2023 through 2024, we had 15 pilot projects implemented where we really learned a lot about working together and bringing art into parks. And altogether, there were about 31 events and programs that happened in state parks throughout California. And in this coming year, there will be offerings of poetry, music, and artist in residency going on in a couple of state parks. And you can visit the project website. There's an event map that really shows upcoming events and where they're located. We're also working to bring aligned projects that have funding from other sources into the Art in State Parks program and have them included within the program to really expand the program's reach and visibility and uplift those projects with tools and resources and outreach support to really raise the visibility of all the amazing art projects that are happening in parks throughout the state. And I pass it back to Sarah, I believe.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I am excited to present about the Art in California Parks grant program. So our program is really here to transform local parks by blending art, culture, and nature to create engaging spaces that nurture creativity and strengthen community bonds. In our inaugural grant cycle, which was last year, 2024, more than 2.8 million was invested to support 31 grant recipients across California. You can learn all about those grantees and their projects on our website. These grant programs are actively bringing innovative art and cultural activities directly into parks and turning them into dynamic spaces that celebrate California's rich heritage and serve our local communities. You can go to the next slide. So for the 2025-2026 grant cycle, this is the exact same as last year. Our grant program has two grant tracks, which is planning and development and implementation. The planning and development grant track supports projects that are in their early stages. So the focus here is on building partnerships and developing artist selection processes. This is an 8-month cycle. And it happens from October 25 to May 2026. For the implementation grant track, these are more for, let's say, shovel-ready projects. These are projects that are set to launch their art and culture programs. They have a strong community engagement, and they also have a well-defined partnership. These grant periods are 12-month cycles, and they begin October 2025 and end September 2026. You can go to the next slide. All right, so for minimum requirements, as you can see, both tracks have the same minimum requirements. You must be an eligible applicant and have a partnership in place. Your project should enhance community health, well-being, and social cohesion, and a sense of place, ultimately fostering lasting connections between people and parks. And finally, all projects need to be free and open to the public. Next slide, please. So eligible projects. And what is the local parks definition? So the eligible projects, this program connects communities to California's diverse cultural history and natural areas. Eligible projects enhance local ties through community events, creative programming, and/or art installations. And these programs for the grant program must take place in local parks. So that means that the land is managed by local cities, county parks, land trusts, regional parks, nonprofits, or other groups, just not federal or state agencies. And it should also be noted that both indoor and outdoor spaces can be considered. You can go to the next slide. For this grant program, there is a partnership requirement. And before applying, you will want to make sure to coordinate with your program partner. Within the application, you will be asked to list your project partner organizations alongside the names and titles of the key people that you plan to have involved. And if you are invited to submit the full application, then we will request that the applicants provide the supporting documentation like emails or signed letters that are confirming that you have the necessary partner approvals. So for this time around, for the LOI, all you'll have to do is list your partners. And this year it's different in that you won't need to upload any supporting documentation in the LOI partnership. Okay, next slide. The application selection process. So I just mentioned the LOI. This year, we are very excited to announce the inclusion of the LOI phase into the application process. This was a recommendation by our advisory committee, and it's based off the feedback that we received from our 2024 proposal feedback calls from you all. The LOI, which stands for Letter of Intent, they're designed to make a more streamlined process for both the applicants and the reviewers. So these are much more concise applications that you'll fill out. For instance, last year, our application had about 30 questions, and this year the LOI only has about 8 that you need to fill out. So much more concise. And we'll go into more details about what exactly those questions are a little later on. But for now, we would just want to give you kind of an overview of what the application selection process will look like. So first, before you apply, you will want to coordinate with your project partner, then complete the eligibility questionnaire on Foundant. Amanda will explain more of that shortly. After verification, then you'll be able to access your LOI application. Also to note, the new submission date is Wednesday, March 19th, which we'll also touch on a little bit later. Then proposals will be sorted by region and reviewed by our proposal review committee. We're aiming for at least 2 proposals per region to move to the final round, and any additional top proposals may be selected from a statewide pool for the next phase. Then invitations for our full application proposal will go out the week of May 12th, and we anticipate inviting around 50 applicants to advance to the next round. So final grantees will then be selected by the proposal review committee, And the official announcement of the 2025-2026 grantees will be later this year in October. And like I mentioned, we'll go into each of these a little bit more in depth. Okay, so for the regional map, as I mentioned in the last slide, proposals will be sorted by region. And upon review by the Proposal Review Committee, proposals are ranked within each region. And we are aiming for at least 2 projects to be funded per region this year. You may ask, how did we come to this map? So we adopted aspects of the California Natural Resources Agencies, the CNRA, their regional divisions maps to help standardize our statewide approach. And last year, we had underrepresented regions such as the North Coast, Sacramento Valley, Sierra Nevada, Central Coast, Central Valley, Inland Desert, California Native American tribes, ancestral lands. They submitted fewer applications compared to some other major regions like the Los Angeles area, the Bay Area, and San Diego. And so to really help level the playing field, we're providing extra outreach and technical assistance to the focused regions. And hopefully that will help encourage folks in that region to apply and ask any extra questions that you may need. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so now we will go into our letter of intent phase and more details about what this means, how it'll work, and what the questions are. And Amanda.
Thanks, Sarah. So we just wanted to briefly introduce you to our grant management software. We utilize Foundant, and I am going to place the link into the chat right now. On our login page, you can either sign back as a past applicant or create a new account. There are also tools such as the applicant tutorial to help you out. In terms of applications, once you enter your applicant dashboard, you will be able to click on the icon that says apply on the top of your dashboard to access all of our open grant applications at Parks California. There you will be able to see our eligibility questionnaire, and please note that there are 4 questions to this, and answering no to any of them will deem you ineligible to move on to the LOI phase. So after you successfully complete that questionnaire, you will enter the LOI phase and application. This isn't something that you will have to fill out all at once. It will be re-accessible through your dashboard. You can save it as you go and download both the questions themselves and your answers. Once your application is complete, then you can hit submit. I'll pass it back to Sarah to dive into the full contents of this LOI application.
Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so within the next couple of slides, we'll be going through each of these LOI application questions to familiarize yourselves with them. So the LOI, as I kind of briefly mentioned before, is designed to be a very short and concise application, capturing the core elements of your project. And these 8 questions that we're going to be asking will help us quickly understand your project's scope and potential impact. So first one being is park locations. We will ask to have the list of the name and address of your primary local park where your project will take place. And if your project spans upon multiple parks, be sure to include the names and addresses of each of those additional locations. Within the application, you will be able to have one slot just for your primary park and then another area where you'll be able to fill out any additional parks. For partnerships, you'll need to list your project partner organizations along with the names and the titles of the people involved. And as I mentioned before, if you're invited to submit a full application later on, then you'll need to provide the letters from your partners detailing their roles. You know, for this program, partnerships are essential. The land managers must partner with local organizations, and local organizations must partner with the land managers, as you can see on the right there with our graphic. And this ensures that projects are well supported and grounded in strong local collaborations. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So for project summary, we have a question here about your project summary. This is a very important one. This is kind of like your pitch here. You'll want to provide a clear overview of your project by including details like your intended audience, confirmed locations, and any key activities. You'll want to explain how your project aligns with your goals and timeline, and specify whether it's a one-time event or recurring throughout the grant period. If certain details are still in development, feel free to describe how this phase will support the project's successful implementation. For community engagement, you'll want to outline how you plan to involve the community through activities such as workshops and surveys or public meetings, and highlight how these engagement strategies will ensure inclusivity, accessibility, by shaping your project to meet your community needs. You can go to the next slide. We also have questions on artistic focus. So that is explaining your project's artistic vision and how it embodies your overall goals. So that's describing your creative elements that enhance community engagement and bring your project essentially to life. Another question that we have in the LOI is artist or organization selection process. So we're looking here for you all to outline your approach for selecting the artist or organization leading the artistic components. That should be highlighting the key priorities in your selection process, such as experience, alignment with the project vision, and community connection. And that leads us to our next question on cultural relevance. Oh, you can go back, actually. Oh, the other direction. Yeah, that's the one. So for cultural relevance, we'll describe how your project connects with local history, contemporary culture, and future community narratives. Explain the strategies you'll use to ensure the project remains culturally relevant and reflective of the region. All right, you can go into the next slide now about the project budget. So this year, for anyone who applied last year, this may look quite different than last year. So last year, for the application, folks had to upload a budget outline and template that we had. This year, the project budget is embedded within the application, and it's much more streamlined. So what we're looking for is really for you to provide a high-level budget with estimated costs for each program category. And these numbers are really for guidance only, and they are not binding. However, if invited to the next round for the full application, your final budget should stay within about 10% of the total budget that you will input here. So just keep that in mind. And for estimated budget requests, this was a big question last year, and based on the 2024 budget requests from applicants and the awardees, we're estimating that planning and development grants will average around $50,000, while implementation grants will average around $100,000. But we do want to remind everyone to request the amount that would best support your project's success. So we can move to the next slide. So some examples of eligible activities and costs that you may want to include in that budget. So for planning and development expenses, some examples could include costs for workshops, community engagement activities, staff time, and planning. Expenses may also cover materials and processes that support equitable artist selection. And these costs should ultimately help to build a strong foundation for your project before the implementation. For the implementation expenses, some examples include hosting events and community engagement activities, covering artist fees, staff time, and creative elements like installations or exhibitions. Other costs may include rentals, permits, and maintenance during the grant period. We can go to the next slide. This is ineligible costs. So for both grant tracks, expenses such as funding, grant writing, lobbying, advocacy, costs incurred outside the grant performance period, those are not eligible for funding. However, for the indirect cost policy for colleges and universities, and government agencies, indirect costs can be capped at 15%, and nonprofit organizations have no fixed minimum or maximum rate for indirect costs. Okay, next slide, please. So getting towards the planning and development, the final project plan, all grantees will be required to submit a final report. Final reports will be submitted within 30 days of the funded activities conclusion, and the report will be provided by Parks California, and all reports will be submitted electronically through Foundit. For the planning and development grantees, they will submit a final project plan using a designated template. This slide here, as you can see, is an example of what the final project plan may ask. However, the final project will be provided by Parks California. And we can go to the next slide, which this is the score sheets. These are for the score sheets for the implementation and for the planning and development. And this is for the LOI phase of our grant program. So through these, we use the score sheets to ensure that every proposal is evaluated using the same set criteria. This ensures fairness and transparency. They capture the essential elements like alignment with the program goals, artist selection process, and community engagement. And by scoring each proposal, we can rank submissions within each region. And this systematic approach provides a clear, objective basis for our final funding decisions. Some special callouts, there are some bonus points available for applications that have reoccurring experiences, which that means offering multiple opportunities for participants to return to the park for art programming. Also, some bonus points for projects that that take place in our focus regions. That's referring back to our 2025-2026 regional map. And then for implementation, projects that have matching contributions, which could be funding or in-kind support. And now we can go to our next slide. All right, so for the resource hub, I will pass it to Amanda.
Yeah, so you can find all the plentiful resources that we have for you on our website at artsancaliforniaparks.org. For ease, we've also attached the QR code here. And this homepage, when you click Grants Program, really houses the higher level information about the Grants Program as a whole. Next slide. When you click on Resource Hub, you will be able to go into the grants program resources themselves. And this includes detailed information about the LOI, the full application for you to just take a peek at, frequently asked questions, over 50 of them, mind you, and other helpful resources to get you started and also make your way through this process. And then next slide. And just a call out to what Cece was talking about earlier. We really encourage you to utilize the artist directory as a tool, both for organizations and artists alike. It's available for park staff and the public to search for artists. So if you're an organization, it could be helpful in building elements of your program. And if you are a California creative, we highly encourage you to join this directory to be a part of the search and expand your own network. Back to Sarah.
All right, thank you. So for technical assistance, I'm sure there's very many questions that you might have, and we're here to help answer them in the best way that we can. So we have two types of technical assistance. We have community office hours, and we have the one-on-one virtual meetings. So a little bit about our community office hours. These are open group calls with up to 30 people where you can ask any questions you have about the program. I'll be on the call along with another Parks California team member, and you'll be able to have your real-time questions answered in front of the group here. And it's really a great opportunity to hear questions from other applicants and gain a kind of broader understanding of the process. You're able to sign up for these different office hours through our resource hub. And you'll be able to see through there, you can click on the Calendly to RSVP and it'll automatically update your calendar. This year is a slightly different than last year. We have our dates there for the community office hours, and we have a new approach to them. So our goal is to focus each office hour on a particular region, and this will help to provide some focused support for each region. However, we understand that you may not be available on the day that we are hosting for your particular region that you're based in. So you can join any of the other dates. Just know that they may be a little bit more regionally focused for those conversations. For the one-on-one virtual meetings, those are more quick, personalized support where we have a 15-minute virtual call. So you can kind of think of it as like you're popping in my office and you have a specific question about the grant. Maybe there's something you need a little more clarity or you want to share an idea. I will be there to support you for those 15 minutes. You can also schedule these calls through our resource hub on the link there that we have available. And through there, through Calendly, you can select the time that works best for your schedule. As you can see, I have some different ranges here. So feel free to book yours as soon as you can. They fill up very quickly. And like I said, each applicant can schedule a one-on-one session, and it's kind of more tailored to individual needs. I will say also that any questions that are shared during the community office hours or the one-on-one that aren't already in our FAQs, we will be sure to capture all those and then update the FAQs with those questions so that everyone continues to have, the same clear and consistent details about the program. So I would suggest, whenever you're filling out the application and you have any questions, just to go back to our FAQs, to the website. And if you're not finding something that you need, feel free to write us at any time. And we're happy to continue to update the program and the website. Okay, so for the important dates, this is exciting. Mark your calendars here. So we have, as I mentioned, the technical assistance that will be going on from February 26th, which is tomorrow. I see a couple of you all have already signed up for that one, all the way till March 12th. And as you may note, the LOI now is Wednesday, March 19th at 5 p.m. And we did this to really, we changed the due date. We gave you all an extra 3 business days. It was previously March 14th, but now it is March 19th at 5 p.m. And that's to accommodate those who may be applying for the California for the Arts, Performing Arts Equitable Payroll Fund. We understand that's a very important fund, and we wanted to make sure that you all were able to apply for our grant as well. So while these extra couple days can be helpful, early submissions are always very appreciated from our team. And then to carry on, so we have the invitations for the full application round will be in mid-May. And then grantee awardees will be notified in early September. And the grantees will be announced in October, and their term will begin in October. The planning and development projects will run until May 2026, and implementation projects will run until September 2026. Okay, we can go to the next slide. All right, so now we will do our Q&A section. As we mentioned before, take some time. You can submit some questions into our Q&A box. Just so you know, if you have any unanswered questions that, if you have any questions that we were not able to answer within this information webinar, we will be utilizing all the questions and updating our resource hub FAQs to capture all those questions and answer them in the best way we can. You can also email us at any time at grants@parkscalifornia.org, and we will do our best to answer you as soon as we can. All right. So Amanda, if you'd like, We can start with the first question.
Awesome. And just to note, we have a ton of questions coming in, so we will not be able to reach all of them. But one I'm seeing a lot is, what are the funding ranges, and can I request less or more than the suggested amounts?
Yeah, great question. This was our most popular one last year as well. And really based on last year's data, we're anticipating the average grant fund for planning and development grants to be around the $50,000 range. For the implementations, we are anticipating an average of about 100,000. But there's flexibility there in that there's no really strict minimum or maximum amount that we have. We encourage all applicants to really, request the amount that's going to accurately reflect the needs of your program and best serve you all. So I hope that's a helpful answer to get you in the right direction.
And another one I'm seeing is, will past planning and development or implementation grantees from the 2024 cycle receive priority consideration?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so for I will start by saying that all proposals are going to be reviewed based on merit, alignment with the goals, and the set scoring criteria. The past planning and development grantees, they are preferred, but it's not guaranteed. So their final project plans will also be reviewed by the proposal review committee. And with their final project plans, they will essentially bypass the LOI and be considered alongside the full application proposals for the implementation grant. And the past implementation grantees, they don't receive any automatic priority, but we do welcome past grantees to apply for this cycle if their program still fits within this current grant cycle.
And I'm seeing one about the review process. Who reviews these applications, and what is the review process like?
Yeah, so sorry, so many P's. Our review process, we have a proposal review committee. It's made up of about, last year we had 27. This year we're anticipating having 30 people join our proposal review committee. These proposals are evaluated by diverse ad hoc committee. They include representatives from the program's partners, which is Parks California, California State Parks, and California Arts Council, as well as we have a team of experts in the arts, community engagement, public spaces, and many of those experts are really recommended by our advisory committee. The review process is pretty lengthy. First we check for minimum requirements, then there is an LOI review. Those evaluations are reviewed by the proposal review committee. Then there is the full application review, which are reviewed by the proposal review committee. And then once the proposal review committee selects the final grantees, then they go on their own journey where they are reviewed by the Office of Local Grants and Services. They also go through a financial review. California State Parks leadership reviews them, as well as Parks California leadership. And then we have the final step of Parks California board that will approve the 2025-2026 grantees.
Awesome. How about this one? How were the focus regions selected?
Okay, so the focus regions, I'll maybe talk a little bit about the map. So the map that you all saw, that was our 2025, oh, thank you, Elizabeth, was our 2025-2026 regional map. There it is. And it was adopted by the California Natural Resources Agency's regional divisions map. And we broke up the map here to really kind of have more focus on the areas of the state that we received less applications from. So as you can imagine, the areas that we received the most applications were from the Los Angeles, Bay Area, and San Diego areas. So by going from, by kind of identifying all these 9 regions, it'll help us to kind of have a better statewide approach this year.
Seeing some about organizations that are looking to partner with a local park but may not know where to get started. So this one asks, how do I go about coordinating that partnership with a local park, or on the flip side, a local park manager coordinating with an organization?
Okay. So partnerships for this grant program are crucial because, they bring the local expertise and the community connections to really ensure that the projects are successfully implemented and aligned with the community needs. So if you're a small arts organization, you will need to partner with the land manager of the local park you are considering. So let's say you have this amazing art program in mind, you have the park in mind that you'd like to do this art program at. You will need to find who is the land manager of that park, get in connection with them, share the idea with them, find out if this is something that is feasible, maybe, understand the requirements that you would be needed to ensure that your program can take place at their park. And then once you are in agreement and in coordination, then you can fill out the application. And should you be invited to be a part of the full application, at that point, then you would need to submit the confirmation of the partnership agreement. So you would need to show, let's say, either emails or like an official letter that that you have a partnership for this program.
Throwing you a bit of a curveball, but how would you define art and artistry? Because it's a pretty big definition sometimes.
Oh, it's wide expanding. And this program really, there's many different types of art forms. So, this program in particular, even when we look at the programs that we funded in 2024, they really range from, it could be visual arts to performance arts. We also have, there's video. There's really any type, and there's even we have yoga, so it can really be quite expansive. And I think the more variety that we see is really the better. So it's, I would say, very hard to define what exactly is art, but this program is, I would say, really rooted in the community engagement piece of it. So whatever type of art program you have, I think the importance is really grounded in the community engagement around it.
And we have a question about how long we anticipate the Arts in California Parks program to run in the upcoming years.
Yeah, so the program, actually, maybe Leslie, do you want to speak to?
Yeah, I'll be happy to speak to that
Okay.
one. So this is the second round of grants that we're doing with our partner Parks California and all of our group. And we're super excited about it. And there is expected to be another round of this current funding for the following year. So for those of you that, for instance, are looking to move from a planning to an implementation phase, if not this year, you'll have another opportunity. And we're hoping to continue supporting this program into the future. We're looking at some other funding models that might sustain it beyond the resources we were given to start this program in 2022. So stay tuned on that. We hope that the success of all of you applying and those of you getting the grants will really show that this is such an important need in our communities, and it needs to be funded into the future. So all of the work that you're doing and demonstrating this is really going to help make that case and show definitively that these kinds of programmings are so essential for our communities throughout the state.
I have another question here about how many grantees we will do we have an estimate of that, and also if the money is awarded in installments or lump sum?
Okay, great question. So first part, we'll look at 2024. So in 2024, we had 31 grantees, 22 of them were implementation, and 9 of them were planning and development. So in this next year, in this year, in 2025, because now we have a better idea of the grant funding ranges, we're anticipating maybe closer to the 30, closer to about 35 projects altogether, but it's really hard to know exactly an exact amount of grant programs that we will fund, just because based on the grant amount that based on the total amount that we have available to fund versus, what are the grant budget requests that each organization will have. So I would say estimate maybe 35 grantees, but again, that's not an exact number. And we really won't know until we get into that final round to figure it all out. And what was the second part of the question?
It was about installations versus lump sum funding.
Right. So what's nice, this is not a grant fund that, refunds you for your payment. We pay the grant fund upfront. So that is hopefully very helpful for everyone.
And now I'm seeing a couple about preferences for, be it a brand new experience versus an event or festival that has consistently taken place.
Yeah, there's really not a preference either way. I think it's all about explaining what your program is, the process for the artist selection, the community engagement. And I think it's important to have programs that are consistently bringing people back to the parks for the art programming. But there's really not a preference. Even in our last set of grantees, we had some grantees that had their continuing events, or they brought back an event that may have happened prior to 2020. And with this funding, they were able to bring that program back. Others, they created something brand new. So it's a real variety. And I encourage, the programs that are already happening and new ones to equally apply.
Another question I'm seeing a lot is about public art installations and permanent installations. Where would this be eligible and when would it not be?
Yes, so that would be more if you're looking to figure out which grant track to go on just for that. I would say that would be more of an implementation grant track. I will note that permanent installations, you can apply for that, but you would also need to supply information about the maintenance that would happen, because as we mentioned, when it comes to funding for this program, the ineligible costs are costs that happen outside of the grant period. So when it comes to maintenance of permanent art installations, we would really like to know what is going to be your maintenance plan outside of the 1-year grant period that you have. So if you would like to propose a permanent art installation, that is fine. Just make sure that you have your maintenance plan already mapped out, you have the funding for it, and yeah, that all that is secured.
That might be, if I can add,
Sure.
whoever is the land manager, landowner for where the installation would be, it might be that they say, yeah, we have staff and we can commit to maintaining and keeping this installation into the future, and we're willing to commit to that. So we'd want to know that. In some cases, they might like the idea, but maybe they can't maintain it. So you might have to think about whether that's going to be a permanent or a temporary for a certain amount of time. Thanks.
Maybe we can take one more question just so we can wrap up and give
Okay.
people a couple minutes.
For sure. Last one I see is, say an organization has a plan for outreach and community engagement and they have a partner, but they don't have a fixed artistic vision yet. How would they go about writing, like expressing that in an application?
Right. So I would think maybe this organization, based on the scenario there, is that they may still be in the planning and development phase where they need to work with the organizations and see about their artist selection process, maybe conduct some workshops with the community to see what the community is interested in terms of art, workshops or programming. And I think the planning and development grant I would recommend would probably be the best route to really help kind of piece all those aspects together in order to really be ready to execute an art program or project, which would be more for the implementation phase. Okay. Well, thank you all. That'll wrap up the Q&A. Like we mentioned before, what we will do is we'll go through and we will capture all your comments. We'll make sure that we put them in a document and try to find similarities between the questions. And then we will update within about a week or so our FAQs that are on the website. We will also make sure to put this recording, the chat, and all that on the website as well, so you can watch this recording back. And we will also feature this presentation on the website as well. If you don't want to listen to me talk and you just want to look at the presentation, that will be available for you also. Again, the website is artsinCaliforniaParks.org. Make sure to follow us across social medias for updates. And again, feel free to email us grants at parkscalifornia.org. And thank you all for attending today, and thank you to our panelists for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.